Welcome back to Vintage Doom. I'm skylines. In today's video, we're going to be continuing expanding on our mini city here, and we actually get down to the coastline today, so that's very exciting. And then we also added in more businesses and some more unique buildings in this whole area, but mostly a lot of commercial we put in here, and then it's a bit of homes too. But I first put in the last monorail stop of this line. It is a pretty good distance from the other one compared to the other stops along the monorail lines, but I would say that it's short enough to where it still does make sense. And then all that area in between would allow for a lot of bus networks or a lot of bus infrastructure to be put in to handle that demand. And it isn't even a big distance either, especially since by now a lot of it's more spread out in terms of the buildings. Once they get out to that monorail station, I do want to have them quite a bit spread out, and I also put in a bank for this area of the city. I did put in another one over. I squeezed it in off camera, over on the other side, a smaller one, but this would be the main bank for the whole entire this area of the city. And then I just put in a bunch of homes in here, and I just continued on with our grid, and I put in water, and then I put in some services like police and fire here, and then I also put in some parks and stuff around here, along with some low density commercial in this general area along the top of the hill. Next, I came over here to look at the hotels, and I didn't know entirely what I wanted to do in this area. So I put in some high-density residential and also some high-density commercial to help meet demands. And then I also decided to put in a hospital here, since we don't have a hospital really in this part of the city. We don't have any big healthcare center here. And this will now be that big healthcare center. So I put in the hospital from the Japanese TLC. Forget what it's called. This isn't the railways of Japan, but it's like cities or something like that. But I put that one in here, and then I also put in a parking deck to go along with it. And I also found out where this power line is going to terminate, and that is right here. So I just put a substation in here, and then I put I just gave it its own little dedicated block just because it was fairly big, and with how the roads are set up here, it would have been quite awkward just putting in a row of businesses on one tile. Or I didn't give its own fully dedicated block, but I only put in like 2 or 3 businesses along. Or not, that's a lie. I put in businesses all along the one side, but the rest is its own block just for the substation. And then I continued our waterfront road along here. And I also put in a bus line connecting our ferry stop to our monorail stops. This way they can get up to public transit a whole lot easier, instead of needing to pull out a car or something like that. They could now just get from the ferry straight up to the public monorail line, where they can then get anywhere in this general area of the city. They could take it to transfer to the train to then get somewhere around the suburbs, or they could then take it to get onto another bus to get around here, or the monorail to get just around this area too. It's all up to where they're going and how they want it. And then, like I said, I added in some low density commercial along the top here before it starts to go down, and I did just flatten it out. And then I put in some small parks at the end here too. And I just varied them up just so this way they all looked nice. And then due to the hill, it would be quite expensive to build on the side of it, and also it looks quite ugly in game because we can't really do nothing in terms of making the buildings look nice and cleaning them up. So I decided to put a park in this one big block here, especially since it's awkwardly sized between the parking deck and everything here. I was kind of forced to have this hill go out quite a bit and be quite steep, so I couldn't build a whole lot there. But on the other ones I did put in some small low density residential, and this will just be where it phases out into not much really anything in terms of development. It'll probably be quite a few parks, and then just some small stuff like I did for the suburbs and all throughout there. And I just continued these low density commercial buildings all along here, and I believe they turned out quite nice, honestly. And I also brought our water pipes out all the way, and then we finally got our ferries up and running here. I didn't realize they weren't up and running until I just connected it up to water and everything started popping out, which it isn't that bad, which it will be the permanent spot for the depot. And then I did put in a parking lot for it, cleaned up the land all along the water, and they all are kind of just congregating there, but they'll start to separate as time goes on. There isn't many people using it, but it will probably increase as the area around the stop gets a lot more development, and there's just more stuff to do in this part of the city, and also just more public transit around it too. And I just started doing some windy roads because this is quite steep here, and our little cutoff for a small little house, which we will need to put in some more schools the next episode if we're working over here. And I put in some more low density residential, and that was pretty much it. Just cleaned up the terrain a bit and around the whole entire area here. But if you have enjoyed, here's the final product. Do hope you enjoyed. If you have, make sure to subscribe. Do this next one. Bye!